Wealth can never bring lasting peace, for the soul that depends on gold for calm is like a sailor who trusts the shifting tide to be his anchor. Imagine for a moment a man who has filled his vaults with silver and his chambers with treasures, who walks through palaces of marble where every column glitters and every servant bows. And yet when night falls and the torches are extinguished, he lies awake with eyes wide open, restless as though hunted by shadows unseen. He has gathered riches but cannot gather sleep. He has conquered markets but not his own thoughts. And though he appears powerful, he is more fragile than the beggar who sings under the stars with an empty stomach but a heart unburdened. The Stoics warned us of this paradox, that peace is not purchased but cultivated, that serenity is not the product of possession but the fruit of discipline and wisdom, and that the mind which kneels before wealth forfeits its crown of freedom. To see this truth more clearly, let us walk through the bustling streets of ancient Rome, where merchants called out their prices, where the aroma of roasted meats mingled with the dust of the forum, and where senators in flowing togas whispered of trade and conquest. In this world, coins passed from hand to hand like drops of water in a ceaseless stream, and many believed that if they could only cup enough in their palms, the thirst of the heart would be quenched. Yet history reveals otherwise. Those who built empires of gold were often the very ones who poisoned their nights with fear of loss, who hid their faces behind guards and gates, and who trembled at rumors of theft or decline. Meanwhile, the Stoic philosopher could dine on bread dipped in olive oil and sleep soundly on a simple cot, for he had mastered the art of needing little and therefore feared little. Wealth remained to him a tool, while to others it became a tyrant in disguise. Seneca himself, wealthy beyond measure yet cautious of fortune's fickleness, practiced meals of coarse grain and nights without luxury to remind his mind that he was free from dependency. He understood that true peace rests not on the abundance of possessions, but on the strength of perception, and that the greatest empire to govern is the restless kingdom within. Marcus Aurelius, who commanded legions and ruled the Roman world, wrote in his Meditations that possessions are fleeting shadows, and that death equalizes the prince and the pauper. His reflections were not the bitter sighs of a man deprived, but the wise clarity of one who saw that crowns and jewels cannot silence the anxious beat of the heart. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that chains of gold can bind the soul as tightly as chains of iron, for bondage is not about metal, but about mastery. He declared that the free man is not the one who owns everything, but the one who needs nothing beyond the discipline of his reason. Look beyond Rome, and the lesson is unchanged. Across kingdoms and centuries, palaces rise and fall, treasuries swell and empty, yet the search for peace remains the same desperate pilgrimage. Imagine the merchant ships of Venice, laden with spices and silks, gliding across the Adriatic to fill the coffers of noble houses. Imagine the bankers of Florence counting their florins until their fingers ached. They had wealth beyond imagining, yet they also filled their diaries with worry, for each coin gained birthed another fear of coin lost. Wealth proved to be like seawater to a thirsty man, abundant yet never satisfying, for the more he drank, the deeper his thirst grew. The Stoics would say that the only fountain that quenches thirst is virtue, for it springs from within and cannot be stolen by fortune or seized by fate. Now step into our own age. Walk through the glass towers of New York or London, where elevators hum and screens blaze with numbers that rise and fall like tides of light. Here are men and women who hold in their hands the wealth of nations, who speak in terms of millions and billions, who seem untouchable. Yet speak with them behind closed doors, and you will hear the same unrest that haunted Roman senators. Anxiety about markets, fear of collapse, dread of irrelevance, suspicion of rivals. Some numb the storm with indulgence, some with endless work, some with fragile distractions, but the peace they seek eludes them still. For peace does not live in the vault, nor in the bank account, nor in the contract, but only in the cultivated soil of the soul. The beggar who walks by humming a tune may have more of it than the banker who rides in a limousine. Consider the image of a man standing on a mountain of coins. The higher he climbs, the less stable the pile becomes, and the more he fears slipping. His eyes are fixed downward, guarding his footing, never raised to see the horizon or the stars. Now picture another man who owns nothing more than a cloak and a staff. Yet he stands on solid earth with his gaze lifted to the heavens, breathing deeply, unafraid of loss because he has already stripped away attachment. Who then has more peace? The one who trembles on a glittering mountain, or the one who stands calmly on the simple ground? The answer is as clear as the sky after rain, and yet still mankind chooses to scramble after the mountain, confusing height with safety and glitter with truth. The pursuit of wealth promises peace, but delivers anxiety because it rests upon what is external and fragile. Fortune can turn her face in an instant. Wars can burn cities. Markets can crash. Thieves can steal. Time can decay. When the foundation of our peace is built on such shifting sands, how can the house of the soul stand firm? The Stoics urge us to build instead upon rock, upon virtue, upon the mastery of our own desires. For the man who has governed his cravings and quieted his fears cannot be shaken even if stripped of every possession. He's like a tree whose roots run deep, unbothered by storms, while the wealthy man without wisdom is like a shallow plant in rich soil, easily torn out by a gust of wind. To live wisely is not to despise wealth, but to place it in its rightful station. Coins can buy bread but not appetite, houses but not home, beds but not sleep, medicines but not health, entertainments but not joy. They are useful but limited, powerful yet powerless over the soul. The wise man uses wealth as he would use fire, warming his hearth but never worshipping the flame, careful not to let it spread beyond control. The fool embraces it as though it were the source of life itself, and in doing so, he finds that the very fire he praised consumes him. Imagine walking alone at night with a single coin in your hand. You flip it in the air, catch it, feel its cold surface. That coin represents all the world's wealth, all its promises and illusions. Now imagine placing it gently on the ground and walking away without regret. The freedom you feel in that moment, the lightness in your chest, the calm in your step, that is the peace no vault can hold. For peace is not in the coin but in the choice, not in the possession but in the perspective. This is why no amount of wealth can bring lasting peace, because peace is not an object to be purchased but a condition to be cultivated. It grows from the roots of discipline, from the waters of self-control, from the sunlight of wisdom. It is born not in the vault but in the soul, not in accumulation but in acceptance, not in conquest but in contentment. The Stoics whisper across the centuries that the man who governs himself is richer than emperors, freer than kings, calmer than merchants who count their coins until dawn. As we close, let us imagine once more that restless man in his marble palace. He lies awake though his treasury is full, haunted by shadows only he can see. Then imagine the poor man who falls asleep under the open sky, a stone for his pillow, yet breathing deeply, dreaming peacefully. Which life would you choose if peace were the prize? The answer reveals the truth that gold cannot buy, that serenity belongs to the mind, that freedom belongs to the soul, and that no amount of wealth will ever deliver the calm that virtue alone can bestow. So let us carry this reflection into our own hearts and examine honestly where we place our hope for peace. Do we believe it lies in the next paycheck, the next promotion, the next purchase, the next number glowing on a digital screen? Or do we believe it lies in the way we breathe, the way we perceive, the way we master ourselves? The illusion of wealth as a path to peace is so seductive because it seems tangible, measurable, and attainable. But the moment we hold it, we discover its fragility. The new car dulls, the house grows old, the numbers in the account become ordinary, and the restless hunger begins again. Lasting peace, by its very definition, cannot be found in what fades, for what fades cannot last. The Stoic way is therefore not a rejection of prosperity, but a redirection of dependence. You may hold wealth in your hands, but never in your heart. You may use it for good, but never worship it as God. You may enjoy its comforts, but never confuse those comforts with the essence of life. This inner stance transforms the relationship between man and money. Wealth ceases to be a master to be obeyed and becomes instead a servant to be directed. And when fortune takes it away, the wise man remains calm, for he knows that nothing essential has been lost. His peace was never anchored to the coin, but to the clarity of his reason. Visualize yourself at the end of life. The bed is narrow, the air is heavy, and the moments are few. At that hour, no chest of gold can warm you. No ledger of profits can embrace you. No treasure can plead for your soul. What remains is the quality of your days, the calm you cultivated, the love you gave, the wisdom you pursued. Peace is measured not by possessions, but by presence, not by riches, but by resilience. The wealthy man who never learned this truth departs trembling, clutching at what cannot follow, while the wise man departs serene, his hands empty, yet his spirit full. This is the final and most profound lesson, that peace is the companion of virtue and virtue alone. If you desire peace, cultivate courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom. If you desire freedom, master your desires rather than multiply your possessions. If you desire calm, let go of the chase for what is beyond control and embrace the governance of your own mind. In doing so, you will discover that peace has been with you all along, hidden not in the marketplace, but in the quiet chamber of your soul. So when you rise tomorrow and walk into the noise of the world, remember the whisper of the Stoics. No coin can still the storm of the mind, no treasure can silence the heart, no wealth can bring lasting peace. That gift belongs to virtue, and to the one who understands this truth belongs a kingdom greater than Rome, richer than empires, stronger than steel, and more enduring than gold. And now ask yourself with honesty and courage, will you continue to chase shadows of wealth for a peace that will never arrive, or will you turn inward and claim the freedom that no fortune can buy?